Hello everyone, my name is Sniping's Fun, and I'm going to continue keeping this wrestling game, video, type, category, whatever going with one more wrestling game video for all of you here on YouTube. I just got done recording my thoughts on AEW needing to make sure they need to get their video game when it comes out on Nintendo Switch, so it's on all three 9th-gen systems. This time, I'm going to be directing it back to WWE and the upcoming WWE 2K22. And one of the things, not just with 2K22, but with the games itself. And this game, could be good, but we just came off like a lackluster year with no game no game with Battlegrounds. And then before that was 2K20, which, as much as I'm still using it for CKW, that's a train wreck of a game. WWE hasn't been doing so well lately, so it's not just about 2K22. It's about the future of the series in general. But it's something I've been noticing, and I know the game still is coming out next week, or less than a week now, because it would be next Tuesday. But this is something that concerns me. And I've been noticing it for about 6 or so games now in the series, not including Battlegrounds. It's been really noticeable since like 2K17 and 18 especially. 17, 18 range. But there's two things I want to know about. And first, before I even remotely get into what I mainly want to talk about in this video, there was something that I wanted to talk about, but after seeing their little ringside report yesterday, isn't so much of a concern as it once was, because now they do have content of it in the game. But if that's the only match they got, it still feels very lackluster for Rey Mysterio. I was going to talk about how the fact that there's a lack of ECW and WCW in Rey Mysterio's showcase mode, two companies that originated Rey Mysterio when he started wrestling in America, had nothing in the showcase mode. All the stuff they mentioned was pretty much from Eddie Guerrero's passing, before that WrestleMania 21 and onwards, just WWE stuff, especially later on WWE stuff. It was nothing super early in his career, but they also haven't really showed the mode yet. And I was getting concerned. I was mentioning it on Twitter, I was mentioning it on Facebook, and it just started, concerning me. And I was getting worried. I'm like, are they really going to do a Rey Mysterio showcase mode and not do ECW, WCW? But yesterday, they finally showed gameplay for the Eddie Guerrero match at Halloween Havoc 97. Thank you, Lord Almighty God, that they finally showed that off. But that's still possibly an issue, because is that the only non-WWE thing from his showcase that we're going to get? It's cool that we finally got something revealed, but is that going to be it? Because I can name numerous matches, especially in WCW, that defined Rey Mysterio's wrestling career, and it would be especially on a showcase. And Austin back in 2K16 got a showcase for his career, but his career is super heavily WWF, WWE, but he still got 3 matches outside of it, 1 ECW and 2 WCW matches, and that's Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's the Ringmaster, the Hollywood Blondes. Rey Mysterio's career is especially defined by outside WWE, especially WCW. I could see them getting away with not having any ECW matches and just maybe showing some video footage of him in ECW against Psychosis and Juventud. But WCW, I love that we got the Eddie Guerrero match. I love that we got the Halloween Havoc Arena, especially that phantom purple suit attire for Rey Mysterio. But are we not going to get maybe the Jushin Liger match at Starrcade 96? His Starrcade 96 attire is supposed to be a pre-order thing anyways. It should be in the game, and so should Starrcade 96 and Liger. I find it weird that Liger hasn't been in the game, especially since he's been put in the WWE Hall of Fame. Or other matches against Juventud or Psychosis, or a lot of the Cruiserweight title matches on Nitro and Thunder and stuff like that. I can understand them maybe not doing the Filthy Animals Unmasked Rey Mysterio, but there's a lot of other matches they could easily do. But with that said, that's not what I really want to talk about in this video. But I wanted to mention that because that was going to be a 2-parter in this video, because we haven't seen anything yet, but they finally showed the Halloween Havoc match. My main concern with WWE 2K22, and it's been a concern for the WWE 2K series as of 2K17. Before that, it wasn't really noticeable. They had repeat characters here and there, but it's been especially noticeable since 2K 17 and 18. WWE plays their roster at least Legends wise, hardly ever changes, and it never changes for the better. Like them adding a bunch of new Legends, unless they're DLC and they're taking your money. But they never really add any new Legends, and they take Legends away. Like Roddy Piper was like a new Legend in 2K20, but they removed like 2 Stings, a bunch of other freaking Legends, and we had Roddy Piper before, like a couple years prior. So it's like just bringing them back to the game series and stuff like that. And they do stuff like that. It's either the Legends roster stays the same, or they remove it and make it worse. They don't just be like, oh, look, cool, new Legends that have never been in games before or haven't been in games in a long freaking time. A lot of these Legends were in like 2K17, then they were in 18, then they were in 19, then they were in 20, and a lot of them show up in Battlegrounds, and a lot of them are here in 22. But they still, like, and they cut wrestlers down, especially the wrestlers that have a bunch of different versions of themselves showing up in these games, and so on and so forth. I'm not saying that they haven't done it before, but I've definitely been noticing it since 2K17. Before that, the 2K16, 15, 14, a lot of them felt a little bit different because each game kind of tried to go for something unique and different. Like 2K16 did the Austin Showcase, so there's a bunch of Attitude Era wrestlers, which the only similarity to that was the WWE13 Attitude Era mode, but since it showed like Austin in general, it showed stuff from ECW and WCW, and it showed some stuff from the Ruthless Aggression era and New Generation for that matter. So we got at least a little bit different. There was the CM Punk Cena feud in the 2002, 2003, 2004, Shawn Michaels and Triple H feud in 2K15, the 30 years of WrestleMania 2K14, and then basically just like Road to WrestleManias in like WWE12, SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 and 10 and stuff like that, and they had just random legends here and there, but they've had pretty much the same legends and like every game since. There's always Austin, there's always Rock, there's always DDP, there's always been a version of this thing, which isn't happening now because he's in AEW. There's always at least one form of Ric Flair, there's always one form of this character, there's always one form of that character. It's always like the same legends over and over. And I know the legends aren't really supposed to be the main thing of the game because it's supposed to be the current day roster. The whole point of the games is to show you the current WWE roster, which is both a double-edged sword because for some people, they don't really care about the current day roster because they don't watch WWE anymore. But also it's the marketing, and it's supposed to show off who's currently in the game. And like every wrestling game since freaking forever for WCW, ECW, WWE, WWF, TNA, you're always supposed to show off wrestlers that are there week to week in big name things. It's always supposed to be the selling point. So I understand that a bunch of the new people in 2K22 are like the same, are the new roster, are the current day roster of NXT 2.0 and UK and Raw and SmackDown and all that other stuff. And a bunch of wrestlers now that have been released over the last year, so it's probably one of the most outdated rosters in a long freaking time. But like I said, the Legends are a major selling point because you're bringing in a lot of the casual fans, especially a lot of the wrestling fans that, let me remind you, there are a lot of people that stopped watching WWE over the years, and either they stopped watching wrestling in general, or they went to other companies like AEW, or TNA, or New Japan, or MLW, or freaking ROH, a bunch of other companies, Lucha Underground, AAA, CMLL, whatever the heck else. They went to other companies or they stopped watching in general, and that's a lot of the casual fans. And a lot of the casual fans will buy a game when they see, oh, look, that wrestler that I remember from a long time ago. And that's Legends. And when you have the same Legends over and over and over again, it just gets redundant and boring. Like, there's a lot of Legends I would love to see in the game. Can you just randomly throw in a Doink? I mean, I don't really care about playing as Doink, but at least it feel different, and they don't really have them in there. I mean, we haven't had the Road Warriors in like forever. We freaking have like different versions of the same wrestler. Like they always, like for example, and I love Eddie Guerrero. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. But it's always like the 2004 champion version, 2005 heel version that they almost always put in the game. We're finally getting the Halloween Havoc WCW Eddie Guerrero, but they always go for like the same one. Or like Ric Flair, it's always like the older, like younger Ric Flair. We don't get the old Ric Flair anymore, like when he retired. Or when it was Sting, we always got either one version of like the freaking Crow or one version of this. I love these wrestlers. I love those versions, but it's always the same thing over and over again. There's nothing usually new. There's nothing usually different. And I just like different versions of certain wrestlers or just new people that you hardly ever see. Like, you know how cool it would be if you just booted up 2K22? Who's the legend in the game? Gangrel. When was the last time he was in the game? Like the PS1 and N64. Or, if you want to count WWE13 DLC, but I mean on the main base disc roster. like too cool. W13 DLC, we haven't seen them except for Rikishi, who was like in 2K16. Like legends that you don't see that often. We always see the same people. We always see X-Pac, and I'm a fan of him. And I love playing as Austin. I love playing as The Rock. I love playing as Sting and Eddie Guerrero and Ric Flair and Macho Man and all the usuals. But I want to see new legends. That's why I wanted to see the Rey Mysterio Showcase tackle WCW, because then we can get Billy Kidman and we can get Juventud and we can get Psychosis and other wrestlers. It's just to me it feels tiring because it's like they're playing it very, very safe. And this game is supposed to have been worked on for 2 years. And it's like they know the complaints they get with these games. And I'm not saying 2K22 is going to be a horrible game, but there's a chance it's going to be the same old thing people have been playing for years. I know they changed up some stuff here and there, but there's always a bit of the same stuff. And the roster feels very, very playing it safe. And it depends on what they do with the DLC now. But like I said, my one major complaint is it always feels like it's the same old, same old. And that doesn't even just apply to the roster. That just applies to the games in general. They do seem to be changing up enough this game, but it's like it still feels very much like 2K20 and 19 and 18 and 17. And I think WWE really needs to start switching things up a little bit more. And I think from what I've seen of 2K22, it's a step in the right direction. But that leaves a lot to be decided when we see 2K23, 24, and whatnot going forward. And especially with all this other wrestling competition coming out, like the AEW game and the Wrestling Code and Hyperviolence and a bunch of other stuff, WWE really needs to find something to keep gamers and fans interested, because they got competition. They have other products they can go to get their wrestling game experience. And I would like to have all of them just be good, but you know, whatever. I'm just a random fan that watches wrestling and plays video games, so what do I really know? But like I said, that's my one major complaint I'm seeing so far in 2K22, especially when we finally see the roster. It feels like more of the same unless you're looking at the current day roster. And even then, there's a bunch of new people that I personally don't even really know because I haven't watched in a long, long time. Or there's a bunch of people that are no longer in the company. So it's the main roster's already outdated enough. So, and you want the casual fans to bring back in some legends, and there's a bunch of legends we haven't had in forever. Can we get Terry Funk? That'd be cool. We haven't seen him since like SmackDown versus Raw 10, I think. I don't know. That's my main complaint. It could be good. I'm looking forward to it, like all those other wrestling games, but WWE and 2K, you need to really kind of spruce up the roster a little bit and make it feel a little bit different, because sometimes it just feels like we're getting the same old thing. As much as you're changing other stuff, we're getting the same old roster like all the times. And back in the day, that never seemed to feel the same. And they gave us a bunch of legends. We always got like Austin and Rock, but we got like, oh, here's Sabu, here's RVD, there's Dusty Rhodes. Oh God, we got the Bushwhackers, we got Typhoon, we got freaking Doink the Clown, we got all these. It just comes out of nowhere. $1 Million Man, Cowboy Bob Orton, you know, a bunch of people. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. It just RVD. It just always felt different. The Sandman. It always felt different. Like even when they had repeat legends, but now it seems like the legends just repeat way, way too much, and that's probably because they get signed to multi-game year contracts. But I'm sure you got other wrestlers that are on good terms with you, and you can work out deals, and you can pay them loads of money to get their likeness. So please think about that going forward. My name is Douglas Fun. Peace. Please subscribe if you want to. Have a lovely day. I'll see you later in the next video. Bye, everyone.